to, I say, early March 2001. Vince McMahon is on both Monday Night Raw and WCW Monday Nitro. Okay, being like, how the hell is Vince McMahon on both Raw and WCW? And then they are both televised casts. They are both happening live at the same time. So that way, both Vince is at the location where Raw's War was at in 2001 and at WCW. So later we find out that Vince McMahon has bought WCW, and we distinctively hear him say, "The very fate of WCW is in his hands." And fans is thinking to themselves, how the hell has Vince McMahon bought his number one competitor in the TV ratings? Well, I mean, if we go back to January 1999, however you want to call him, he broke the ratings in the WWF Championship match against The Rock, which led to the storyline having at the Royal Rumble, having at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, then having an I Quit match, then having the empty arena brawl match during the halftime heat on Super Bowl Sunday in 1999, and the rest of that what broke the ratings. And I guess the WWF was superior in the ratings or whatever. So we're gonna go back later into that year, probably about March of 2001, later after the first time we seen Vince buy it. So what we're going to do is first of all, we see that Vince McMahon is in the ring giving him a promo as usual, being Vince McMahon. Next thing fans see is that Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon's son, has swindled and bought WCW under his nose, like he doesn't even realize it. And this is what leads to the invasion. It's like right before WrestleMania 17. Yes, WrestleMania 17. It's right before WrestleMania 17. Stone Cold Steve Austin has made his return back, figured out who ran him over. The Rock is the WWF champion. It's at WrestleMania 17, I think it was The Undertaker and Triple H, then Stone Cold and The Rock. Yeah, that's how it went down. Okay, so anyway, this is how we know that something bad was happening, because we ain't seen Shane McMahon on Raw since, I think, like at least a good while, since the 2000 angle with the McMahon Helmsley regime or the faction or whatever. So here we see that he's in it. Okay, so we finna speed it along up to July 16th, 2001. The WWF finds himself in a heartbroken situation. Here we have Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, and Paul Heyman, the owner of ECW at that time, and I guess he still is now, both principal owners of the WCW ECW alliance, coming together and sending out messages of warnings to Vince McMahon that they're going to take the WWF out of business. So here we have that Vince McMahon goes to the number one person that he can get to rule the WWF into invasion and make them superior and have them win, Stone Cold Steve Austin. But at this time, we see that a sadder or a more nicer version of Stone Cold Steve Austin or whatever. I didn't never like that one, to be honest with you. Here we see him. We never seen Texas Rattlesnake in this type of state before. We see him in like a little restaurant wherever he's drinking on a beer, and he got his back turned to Vince, and Vince McMahon tells him that he needs the old Stone Cold back, the Stone Cold that didn't give a rat's ass about this and that, stomping mud holes and walking them dry. But let's back up to an earlier version of SmackDown, where Vince McMahon, Stone Cold's in the ring, and he tells Stone Cold to give him a stunner. Stone Cold deliberately stops walking up the ramp, and he paused, and the fans cheers, thinking that he's going to come back down to the ring and stunner him like original Stone Cold Steve Austin style. But no, that's not the case. In this case, Austin kept going on up towards the ramp, and he walked on out there. and Vince McMahon is pleading that Stone Cold comes back to the ring and gives him a stunner and lead the WWF into the invasion. So after that, it's later on into that night. Here comes the Dudley Boys, Rhino, and some more folks from WCW and ECW coming in and attacking Chris Jericho, both The Undertaker and Kane. And then they are attacking Edge and Christian and multiple WWF Federation members backstage as well. And next thing we know, here we see Austin put up his picture and he's beating the living hell out of WCW, ECW members. Then he comes down to the ring, stunner here, stunner there, stunner this, stunner that, and gives them multiple stunners to all WCW and ECW Alliance members and helps out the Brothers of Destruction or whatever. So let's go ahead and let's go on down the line a little bit more. It is Invasion. Here we have the referees getting into it. I think there was some couple ladies getting into it. Here we have, this is when The Rock is not here. Triple H is out due to a quad injury. Now, I really do think that if Triple H did not have that quad injury, he probably would have taken place of Chris Jericho, but probably Vince, knowing that he needed somebody else to take his place. And The Rock was suspended, but I think The Rock was shooting the Scorpion King that same year. I think it was 2001, the Scorpion King, it was something like that. But The Rock came back perfect timing at the Survivor Series later that year in 2001, where they had the final ECW and WCW battle or whatever. So my only main focus is how did the angle work. So the angle could have been better and it could have lasted longer than it did, but I think Vince McMahon knew that it was pretty much nothing anymore he could really do with it. Because I mean, here we had Chris Jericho versus Booker T for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and then here we had The Rock beating Booker T for it. And then here we have some WWF members crossing paths with the ECW, WCW alliance thanks to Paul Heyman and company, making them persuading them to come join it. But anyways, how that angle did not work is because maybe after the invasion pay-per-view, maybe they had lost touch, and probably Vince McMahon probably went backstage and probably been like, okay, we know that this is not going to do anything because we've seen Stone Cold betray the WWF and join the ECW and WCW alliance. But then after that, I think he probably went like, okay, maybe we can go ahead and get this one more little go around and just go ahead and take advantage of it as long as we can. And so I guess it went on up to November of 2001. Yes, it went up to November 2001 for the Survivor Series. So here we have the Rockies come back. Here's Stephanie McMahon and The Rock and not Stone Cold, and Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon in the same ring. The Rock gives a rock bottom to Shane McMahon after shaking his hand because they tried to persuade him about how Vince had screwed him over the years, and then Vince tried to tell him how Shane had screwed him over the years, bringing up multiple times, like at the March 13 or 15 episode of Raw's War, where he had a little match against the Big Show. Vince McMahon had returned, and Shane McMahon tried to screw The Rock out of getting his title match against Triple H at WrestleMania 2000 that year. So anyway, the reason that angle did not work was because they did not think it fully through. I guess they thought that maybe we can just bring it in and let these guys fight the hell out of each other, do whatever the hell they want to. No, that's not really the case. I mean, people did not like the Stone Cold heel character at all. I mean, Stone Cold has pretty much been a heel pretty much just about well out his career. I mean, he's been both a heel and a face, or a baby face, if you want to call it that. And the way I say heel, I mean, and I mean, this is probably, I might lose some reviews over what I'm finna say, but if you are a Vince McMahon fan, you're going to probably find Stone Cold as a heel towards him. But when Stone Cold and Vince McMahon got right, maybe you see him turning as a face. But I mean, you can't really call Stone Cold Steve Austin a heel character. Well, maybe you can call him a heel character with the Bret Hart situation and the Brian Pillman situation back on Raw 1996 and 1997 to Survivor Series. And well, maybe you can just call him as a heel character right then, but this is before he became the World Wrestling Federation Championship, and he was at the height of his peak. Here he was the ringmaster or whatever. So back to how it did not work out. Vince McMahon knew that he lost several elements without The Rock and Triple H there at the time. They had their best ones there, yet they had Kurt Angle, who already been the WWF champion, Intercontinental champion, European champion, I think the Hardcore champion as well too. Then they had Chris Jericho. He has been WWF champion for a couple minutes, Intercontinental champion, the European champion, and I think the light heavyweight champion. I'm not for sure. Then we had both The Undertaker and Kane. Kane with being a one-time WWF champion. I think The Undertaker being either a 3 or 4-time WWF champion. Kane being an Intercontinental champion, Hardcore champion, and I think, and both of them being tag team champions, as well. So I think maybe Vince McMahon thought that maybe they could fit them in while the two other great ones were gone. We both had Triple H here out for a car injury, like I said earlier, and then we had The Rock out shooting the movie The Scorpion King. So anyway, I'm pretty sure like if they happened at the Survivor Series about how he had left these, about how he had betrayed them, and then Braun Strowman got him around his neck or whatever. But what I'm saying is maybe we would have seen a heel turn with Triple H. Maybe he would have joined the WCW, ECW alliance. I'm not for sure. I'm not just throwing this out there. Maybe it's a strong possibility because this is right around the time. Triple H, this is not long after he has stabbed Stone Cold Steve Austin in the back multiple times and supposedly stabbed D-Generation X in the back multiple times as well. But anyway, this is how the invasion angle had worked. Okay, for the first time, we had seen two companies that has been competing for the longest time, ever since 1997 to March 2001. Here we have two bigger enemy companies like Ted Turner and then World Wrestling Federation Inc. coming together and just battling to see who's the superior and the more supreme federation than all of them. Now, with the WCW and ECW thing, I think for myself that maybe if Goldberg or Bret Hart was still in the company at that time, maybe they could have brought them in and Goldberg wouldn't have waited until like 2003 to make his debut on Raw. And maybe they could have had this feud or whatever, like Goldberg and The Rock before the 2003 and 2004 time, and probably maybe Goldberg versus The Undertaker, Kane, or perhaps Triple H himself. But this is what I think about the whole invasion angle. To me, the invasion angle, it had worked in its ways, and then it hadn't worked. Because there was sometimes it lost us fans just baffled and bestowed or whatever. So in the way that it worked to me is because we had both companies battling. We already seen that the WWF had won in the ratings, so maybe they thought about saying maybe they can see who is the better men or better man inside the ring. Maybe they thought that maybe they can beat us in the ratings, but maybe they cannot beat us when it comes to like sports entertainment or fighting or true skill or whatever. So maybe that's what they thought about doing when they had the invasion angle or whatever. There had been is perfect moments or whatever, and I mean, yeah, there been is the invasion angle to me was like the best WWF Attitude Era moment for me. And I am a 2002 baby. I was born like the year after the entire thing happened. Oh damn baby, can't do this, can't really do that, can't really watch the WWF. But before it changed names to WWE, because I was born in March of 2002. So maybe. Well, I have gotten a comment, and I read a comment in the comment section when I be doing my WWF invasion storylines, recreating them. How would it be if the WWE was to do it now? Well, I mean, every Survivor Series we have had, like the WWE has had their own type of invasion. Like they have had SmackDown invade Raw, Raw invade SmackDown. But I mean, it's nothing. They cannot recreate what they had made back in 2001. Because Stone Cold's at the very height of his peak. Like he was a god mode. Him, Triple H, The Rock, Kurt Angle, Kane, Undertaker was at the height of their peak in 2001 for that moment, pretty much, to be honest with you. So I'm pretty sure like they cannot have anybody come back and recreate how that week went, how the months went, how that night went. They cannot recreate that. I mean, now they have some pretty good wrestlers like Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, The Miz, Chris Jericho. Well, I don't think he's becoming anymore. Brock Lesnar, on the other hand, maybe Brock Lesnar, if he had debuted earlier, maybe Brock Lesnar could have been a very handful or a help out to the WWF at that time. Because I mean, here he debuted a year later in 2002, taking out both the Hardy Boys, giving an F5 to I think Spike Dudley or whatever, doing this and that, hitting him inside the head with a steel chair, hitting him inside the head with a trash can lid, this and that, the usual, beats Brock Lesnar or whatever. So anyways, you guys leave below in the comment section, how do you think the WWF invasion angle had went? And you guys also leave a like on this video, comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends, share this video. It's a little arrow at the bottom of this video. And you guys comment below, tell me what other in storylines or angles or kayfabe or babyface or heels or any other things that you want me to talk about in this video, and I make sure I get back to you guys with it.